This episode of Morning Brew with Jaffe and Razor is brought to you by the awesome people over at Apex Entertainment. Apex, located in Marlboro, is located right off Route 495 on Route 20. It's 100,000 square feet of pure fun for all ages. There's always perfect weather at Apex Entertainment, and it's an ideal location for a birthday party, corporate outing, or special event. Or, you know what? Just to go and have some fun. Attractions include 30 bowling lanes, multi-level indoor go-kart track, laser tag, bumper cars, rope course, and arcade. Go check out apexentertainment.com. Razor and I thanks Apex Entertainment for all of their support. So just when you think you know what may happen, and a team that is missing their top defenseman goes into Tampa, a team that was 8-0-1 at home in their last 9 games, and I think it was one regulation loss in their last 16 at home as well.
Yep.
Is that right? The Boston Bruins go on a mini tear and beat the Tampa Bay Lightning 5-2. They start the game out beautifully, scoring a goal early on. David Pastrnak getting going, Brad Marchand getting going, Anton Bleed getting going. As we welcome you into Morning Brew with Jaffe and Razor, we'll cover both games. We'll touch on kind of the Minnesota game as well and what we feel about that or felt about that. But the focus here will be more on Tampa and just some of the things we're seeing. Razor, like I said, just when you think you know what might happen, and I guess it's the danger of making assumptions, and not that it would be a rollover by Tampa, but it would be a real tough game, given what Tampa is and what they have been with the Bruins lately. The Bruins come out with, literally a tremendous start to the game on Saturday night, setting the tone.
Certainly set the tone right out of the gates, and good to get a bit of a fortunate break. I don't think they've had too many of those. And
you're referring to the Pastrnak goal.
The Pastrnak goal coming off, bouncing off out in front from outside the blue line. And Cam Neely referenced ugly goals over the break, and I think we saw that tonight. I think there was nothing pretty about the goals. Pastrnak going to the net, kicking in, rebound up to his foot. Brad Marchand tipping one home, getting an empty netter, and then Bleed getting a broken play in the middle of the ice. So
that might have been the prettiest.
Positive. That was but it was been, and the reason was pretty was more because of the hard work of Steen than right. anything else. So big positive, and certainly not what the outcome maybe you would have expected going into Tampa with the hot streak that they've been on.
So let's just bust through a few positives. I'm going to list them off. You tell me if I'm missing anything or you want to add something, or in no particular order. Look, Pastrnak scoring 2, huge positive, right? Love that. Mm-hmm. I thought Urho Vaakanainen's season debut at 16 minutes and 6 seconds, a big positive. Oskar Steen continuing to show that he is an NHLer right now. He's done nothing to not continue playing. Big positive. Brad Marchand stepped up, led by example, chirped Maroon at the end there, big positive. Connor Clifton, I thought, continued to play very, very well, along with Derek Forbort, that pair. Big positive. And then you get a fourth line going again, something I don't think they were involved enough, both from a time perspective, but also from what they were able to do against Minnesota. And I thought the no-sec loss was much more evident there. And I'm thrilled that it wasn't as noticeable against Tampa. They were great. They ended up being great. That was a positive. And lastly, I'll say Linus Ullmark getting his first win in his career against Tampa is a positive. So 1 and now 5 against Tampa. Am I missing any other positives that really jump out?
No, you covered the basis. I think the only other one I would add is and someone that we need to expect this from is Brendan Carlo and his penalty killing
Yeah.
abilities with Forbert. Those guys are separating themselves both analytically and eye test wise on the PK. The way they're
Mm-hmm.
playing with each other, the way they're reading off each other. We did a breakdown on TV for that. So I'll add him, but you nailed it. I was gonna waiting for you to miss Linus Ullmark because I thought he had a big night against a team that he hasn't won against, a marquee game against a marquee team. This is why he came to Boston to play these games, meaningful games in the middle of the season, and he passed with flying colors in the way he's playing now. 7-2 in his last 9 games. He's settling in, I would say, and this is what I expected out of him. So I'm happy for him.
And a lot of people, and I really don't want to go off tangent here too much.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, they lamenting early on in the season, especially after the Bruins lost 4-0 to Calgary at home, lamenting how the Bruins didn't go with Swayman and Vladar. And at that time, Danny Vladar played very well. No question. You can't deny that.
Mm-mm.
And Ullmark and Swayman were inconsistent, especially Ullmark, who had been inconsistent. And this is not a shot at Dan Vladar at all. So nobody read into it. But, you didn't have much, runway or much, history to go off of. And it was really easy to jump on that, not to mention the fact that you didn't know if Tuukka Rask was coming back at all in the offseason. So my point is this, is you use the term settled in. I think both goaltenders have settled in. They're in a nice rhythm right now, one each playing every other game type of thing. And they're both playing very well. And goaltending is not the issue for this team right now. It's still who's going to be your second line center. And they have to add, this is my take at least, size on the back end.
Mm-hmm.
They have to when it's all said and done. So good for the goaltending. Good for your union, Razor.
That's right. Absolutely. Exactly. And really the controversy is with Tuukka back, but we don't even need to get into Tuukka coming back. Just leave it. Allmark was good. The whole thing, they're good back there right now. And it's positive. Defenseman wise, Vaakanainen coming in adds a little bit more depth back there. You just brought up adding more size. Zaboral out, unfortunately, but the guys that have jumped in on the back end have done a good job, and Vaakanainen continued that against in a tough first spot, or what we thought was going to be a tougher spot. He thrived tonight.
I'm with you, bud. I mean, here, check out these numbers. These are going to be interesting numbers. Ready for this time on ice in the game against Tampa? Have you looked this up yet, or no? Have you seen it, Razor? Have you had a chance to?
The only one I know, I have an idea of where you're going, but go ahead.
Okay.
On the back end, right?
Yeah, back end. Matt Grzelcyk.
Yeah.
1556.
Yeah.
Urho Vaakanainen, 1606. Then you go to Carlo and Derek Forbert. Carlo, 2113, 445 shorthanded. Derek Forbert, 2151, 454 shorthanded. Then you go to Connor Clifton, 2115. So he saw the big jump. And Mike Riley, he ticked up a bit too, 20 minutes and 4 seconds. And so, is interesting how, Grzelcyk goes from playing 18 to 20 something with Charlie, but without Charlie, and they say, look, we're gonna trust you with Urho now. But here's the real deal too. The reality, I mean, is Grizz doesn't penalty kill that much.
Yes.
So with Forbert and Carlo doing that, that's where he lost probably 3 minutes right there.
Correct. And I suppose the fact that they were up 4-0, they're not pushing off it, but still it's still low minutes. Under 16 minutes for a defenseman is what he would notice that. He would notice that he didn't play very much. He would not be fatigued after the game playing that. He would probably have to go ride the bike if when the strength coach comes in the room, defenseman under 16 minutes, get on the bike for 25. One of those ones. And I think the addition minutes, Clifton's surprising. The other one surprising to me though is Riley, because he's you would think he was in a similar role of Grzelcyk, but him getting up to that 20 minutes means he he played more defensive time. So
Well, he
that
did.
it was interesting.
Yeah, he did. So yeah, Riley played 253 on the power play. Grzelcyk only played 146. That might have also just been when they
The
had
way the
shifts
shifts
and
line
everything.
up or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd have to go back and look at that. Grzelcyk, no time shorthanded. Urho Vaakanainen got 217 shorthanded. I remember him being out there. I remember him saying, "Oh, Urho getting it," and that's good shit right there. I mean,
Absolutely.
that's good stuff coming in. And Cliffy played 226 shorthanded. Some other things that jump out statistically: Pastrnak with 11 attempts total, 7 on net. Marchand with 5 shots on net, seven total. Bergeron 3 shots on net. So you had 15 shots out of the 30 that reached the net from Bergeron, Pastrnak, and Marchand. Now I know they're not aligned, but I'm saying those 3 guys. So while they're not playing together, they're still your 3 big guys. And okay,
that's right.
And you got to be thrilled for Pasta doing that without Brad and Patrice.
It's funny, and it just struck me now that we've focused a lot on secondary scoring this week, but it happens that it was Bergeron Marchand getting 4 of the 5 goals today. But because they're on separate lines, it feels different for some reason.
Right.
I literally haven't thought about it. I've watched the whole game. It's now late in the evening, and I just thought about it now that the big guys ended up scoring 4 or 5 goals tonight.
Right. So so Patrice had an assist. Marchand had 2 goals. Pastrnak had 2 goals. Taylor Hall had 2 assists. So, forward speaking, 2 goals, 2 assists from your second line, 2 goals, 1 assist from your first line. That's damn good. That's what you need. That's what you want. And so now 4 of the 5 games that the Bruins have played post-pause, they've gotten what their coaching staff had hoped they would achieve. And
at some point, do we change from post pause to post line change?
Yeah, that's probably a good thing. I mean, it would be a more hopefully appropriate term. I don't want to jump too much into this.
The reality is, it worked, right? Like a lot of times, it doesn't end up being this clear, right? They make changes, you make lineup, and they move back within 4. We talked about it. They're going to come back in 4 games. How long are they going to do this for?
Right.
It's materially obvious that this has worked. That this.
And by the way, you're right. And by the way, it was 2 goals and 3 assists, as Haula also had an assist in the game. So you're right. It has worked. It hasn't barely worked. It hasn't kind of worked. Now we had the first game where that line the Buff game didn't totally jive, but they got going. It overall over a 5-game sample size, right? 5 games now, where they're 4-1. It's worked. Does it stay there? Who the hell knows? But it's worked. And I mean, at the very least, this should give everybody involved in the forward lines significant confidence that if or when Bruce wants to change things up and his staff, that there should be faith in it.
Absolutely. There's no question. Yeah. And it's really positive. It'd be one thing if it was the perfection line carrying these guys through. These 4 wins out of 5 feel better than any of the other 4 wins prior. Power play hasn't gotten going.
No.
If that gets going, that probably is the one that you probably win 5 in a row if your power play is going, really going. I know, but anyways, I digress. It's really positive, the depth scoring.
So you get depth scoring, and in the game against Mini, your third and fourth lines weren't great. Especially, I didn't think the fourth line was. We talked about that on the Nesson pre and on the Nesson post show a little bit, how we both felt Tomas Nosek was missed significantly, and it made a difference not having him there, not having his presence, his calmness, his ability to win faceoffs, etc. And meanwhile, Charlie Coyle did a really good job, I thought, even though in this game, and so did Oskar Steen without Foligno, and we have no update on Foligno, and we won't know really much. We really won't know the story with Foligno most likely till he gets back to Boston. That's what it'll be. We figure, as Bruce Cassidy said, he'll be out on Monday, and then hopefully it's not whatever worst case scenarios. I mean, hopefully it's workable, so to speak, fixable. But I thought Charlie Coyle did a really good job in his role, and Steen in that. Okay, they didn't score. Steen did get an assist, but they played heavier. He played good minutes, 17 and a half minutes for Charlie. And then the fourth line was really good, really, really good in this game. And I mean, what was different in your eyes for that, especially for the fourth line?
Yeah, the fourth line, I'm not sure, but it was different. The terrible analysis, obviously, but Lazar, I think I would if I have to make a decision, I think it's Lazar stood out the most. He seemed his game really picked up from Thursday to Saturday. I thought he skated much better Saturday night. I thought he was in on the forecheck better. I thought he was going to the net a little bit better. So I think, and again, you talked about a pregame that he's the one that has to drive that fourth line. Frederick's there, Bleed's there. They're young guys. Lazar's the cagey vet, and he has to kind of lead them along. And I thought he did that against Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I agree.
And
8 hits by that line, Razor. Again, hits are very subjective, rink to rink.
Well, and I think the big thing for them was them defensive zone faceoffs, and they were winning defensive zone faceoffs. They were getting the puck very quickly out of their zone. They didn't get hemmed in on any of those plays that are momentum changing shifts, whether they get scored on or not. They never had any of those. They changed momentum in the positive way all night.
Yeah. And they all played some good minutes. Freddie, 11:27. Lazar, 12:23. 2 minutes of that were shorthanded. And then Anton Bleed, 12:43. And,
that's a lot.
And only 20 seconds shorthanded. So he got extra ice time because of Foligno's injury. So it's no coincidence. No coincidence, folks. You get, as a player, especially as a player who is used to playing a ton, whether it's in Europe or in the American League, and then you go from 16, 18 minutes down to 10 or 8 minutes. It's a hard thing to alter. Your DNA, your mindset, your DNA is different. I want to touch on this quickly because this is, it's relevant, but yet it's different, if that makes any sense. The other day, David Krejci came out with some comments, and it relates to the line changes, okay? Especially the Pastrnak not being with him often when he was there for a couple of years. And I'm paraphrasing here because I don't have the article in front of me, but he was basically saying, and again, we're trusting the translation is correct, if you know what I mean, from Czech to English.
Yes. Yeah.
But he's saying, I mean, there were many times, Krejci wanted Pastrnak with him, and the coach would only do it for a short period of time, maybe 1 or 2 matches, he said. Basically, what he was doing, it felt like, here's the thing, we weren't there, so we can't tell tone. Was he calling out Bruce Cassidy there? I'm asking rhetorically more than anything, Razor, because at the end of the article, he did say, well, I don't blame the coach. So I don't know what that means there, but I found it interesting. Look, it's been a year and a half. There have been times I definitely wanted, I've said it on the show last year, but I've said it before too. I'd love to have seen those more balanced lines given more of a chance. Is this a player you think making just a statement, or I mean, and Krejci's a blunt guy, or is he calling out the Bruins here? What's your take on that?
I feel, just going straight off the quotes, I feel like it's a shot. I feel like it's a little bit of, I mean, it's not sour grapes, but along those lines, like, I wish I had the chance to do that. And again, there's so many of these overseas interviews that take place that get rolled out in the media here, and they're translated. And to your point, you don't understand the tone, and it's so easy to be in the check and you're just talking to a random guy after practice and exaggerate your thoughts. And there's probably some truth in there, but it is very easy to exaggerate. It's very easy for David Krejci to get a little carried away in his own language in Czechia, they want to be known as now. Yep. And it's so I take it for a grain of salt, but I do think it's, I think he is probably watching, saying I think I'm a better player to get David going.
Yeah.
That's where I think it is. I think he's looking at it like, I'm better than any of the centers they have there. They should have trusted me to be able to do that. I think it's more.
Yeah, I mean, I mean, first of all, David Krejci, incredibly blunt. He was a wonderful guy to speak to in the locker room. Soft spoken, yet very sharp, very direct. He was the kind of guy. If you had the opportunity just to sit down with him, he was gold to speak with because he was honest without being.
And he was right most of the time, right?
Yeah, I'd agree.
Like,
You're
he's
right.
right when he talks. When he has an idea, when he has a thought, he wasn't throwing random things up. It seemed like, he was pretty convicted, and he was right most of the time.
He's the old E.F. Hutton commercial guy. When Krejci speaks, people listen, or at least he makes you think about it, right? So
yeah.
I do think it was partly I'll use your term, partly a shot. But again, we don't know tone. So was he sitting there with the guy and he'd be like, yeah, I would have loved to have played with him more, but they didn't. And for some reason, it was only 1 or 2 games, and then they went over there, and and then they went back to the other lines, and blah 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 blah. And maybe things would have been different. I don't know, maybe. Or was it the tone of, yeah, I should have been playing with him. I should have, So it's a question of, my guess is it was a little bit of a shot. But again, I found that last comment interesting because I do think Krejci, I know I couldn't agree with you more. You're in a native language, you're having this interview, and it's easy just to let it go, right? The flow. But on the other hand, David's a smart man. He's a vet of over 1,000 NHL games, including playoffs. I think he knew that there was a good chance that this article was going to get sent over. And I don't know if it shuts
himself at the end.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe. Exactly. And I don't know if this, I don't believe he's coming back. I don't. Some people in the social media world are still trying to surmise, could he come back, this and that. First of all, he'd have to clear waivers. I'm not convinced that he would, depending on the deal that he would sign. But second of all, would he say that type of thing if he was coming back to the Bruins? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I guess I'm trying to read into it. Maybe, probably not.
Yeah, I to the point of waivers and getting through that, I think that's the biggest obstacle. I mean, why would any team, why would the Tampa Bay Lightning or for whoever the first round opponent is for the Bruins allow him to go through with a short money deal?
Yeah, the question is, and I have to remember this, and I probably should. Do all 31 other teams have a shot at that? If because he's
or is it the teams behind him?
Or is it the teams
that are? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember that.
Yeah,
but
me neither. But anyways, I think that I don't think these comments, one way or the, he could come. They're going to open him, let him come back if he wanted to. At this, whether he says this or not.
Yeah,
and then he comes back, and then they put Pastrnak on the first line.
Oh boy! Now we're talking. We're talking a special brew.
That'd be fun. Yeah.
All right, Apex, most entertaining moment of the game. Very entertaining game for the Bruins. And by the way, the amount of Bruins fans down at Amalie Arena on Saturday looked so awesome. We had an entertaining moment on Thursday. I'll call it entertaining. We can call the fights entertaining, whatever. But the game, it wasn't bad. Thursday wasn't bad for the Bruins. They didn't win. They didn't get the result they wanted, but it wasn't bad. So let's pick our most entertaining moment from the Tampa game. I mean, there was a bunch of great goals. There's no question about it. There were a couple of saves, but I think from an entertainment factor, to me, I love the 5-on-3 penalty kill the Bruins had. I mean, that got me jazzed up. I love that.
I thought I thought you were going somewhere else, and I was gonna do the same thing. We were I mean, we've been doing this too long already, I guess, together. We're of the same mind. I think that's the only time we actually were yelling at the TV in the green room. It was exciting. They did such a great job, and you could just see how they were reading off each other and playing it so well. And it just felt like an important part of the game. And in hindsight, it was even more so because they kept Tampa out of it as long as they could.
Yeah. So make sure to go check out the Apex place in Marlboro. Apex Entertainment is just a fantastic place. The weather is always perfect, always warm at Apex. Not going to be colder like it is this week outside, Razor. You're already worried about
Tuesday afternoon after school. Tuesday, that is the place you're going to want to be. Apex.
Well, or what about the Razor rink? Is the Razor rink ready?
Yeah. Oh, it's a little rain tomorrow. It's gonna have a nice layer on it. It's gonna freeze. It's gonna be perfect on Tuesday morning, Tuesday afternoon.
Boy. So wait a second. Is it really supposed to rain on tomorrow, on Sunday?
Tomorrow?
Is it?
Yeah, a little bit. It could be like 50-60% chance.
Oh, really? Because I was gonna actually kind of invite ourselves over to try and skate, but all right, that won't work. All right. Well,
Monday.
Razor rink. Okay.
Yep.
Well, that'll be great. So Apex, again, go check it out. Weather always great there. Got all the amazing games, the bumper cars, the sports type games. ApexEntertainment.com. Go check them out in Marlboro. And they got a couple of other locations too in other areas, states and stuff. So if you're out of state listening to Morning Brew with Jaffe and Razor, see if they have one there. Thanks as always to Apex Entertainment for being part of Morning Brew. All right, let's see a couple of other things. Let's go through the schedule quickly coming up. Got a Monday game at Washington, and so the Bruins will travel short flight from Tampa to Washington. Don't have the Bruins email update. I don't know if you have it yet either or not, if they will or will not have practice on Sunday there. My feeling is that they'll have it off, but that would be just my guess. I don't know. I don't think we'll have an update on Nick Foligno until probably he comes home with the team after Monday, but we'll see. Bruce Cassidy was saying he hoped to have something. So after Monday, then the Bruins have a game on Wednesday against the Montreal Canadiens, the game that was supposed to be in Montreal, and it is now at Boston because there are no fans allowed in Quebec right now. We are scheduled to have our next Morning Brew with Jaffe and Razor after that Montreal game, correct? That's the right date, the 12th? It is, yes. So we will not have one after Monday unless Razor and I decide to have something great happens there, but otherwise we're scheduled to have one after the 12th. As always, we'll update you via social media. Something's going to change there. So this week, again, Monday in Washington, Wednesday at home against Montreal now. Thursday, the game is. We had it listed in Philly, isn't it? At home? I think it's at home.
No, they're both at home. Both at home. Yeah, they're at 7 games. They're at home all week. It was I caught that, but I wasn't. It was too late to bother. But yeah, They're all three at home. Montreal, Philly, and then Nashville. Yeah,
and Nashville on Saturday afternoon. All right, so for sure we'll have a Morning Brew coming up. For sure Wednesday, maybe Monday as well. That's the beauty of podcasts. We can always adjust on the fly, so to speak there. Anything else you want to cover after, again, a really good game in Tampa, not a bad game against Minnie, the physicalness. I mean, do you want to touch on the Freddie hit? We agree, not a suspension and penalty. Okay, fine. The response by Frederick, he did what he had to do. He fought Kulikov, and then he had to fight Foligno. That was a big boy fight, and that could have been scary if Foligno connected on that last one there.
Yeah, he almost got him.
What about? Let me ask you this before we wrap. What about the way? Does Foligno still need to figure some things out? Do you think, or I beg your pardon, Frederick? Or are you okay with what you saw there?
No, the only one, the one that bothered me, and Cassie mentioned it as well, is when is taking on Zuccarello. That one bugged me because you're sitting there and you're watching him. He's still going at Zuccarello. He's still going at Zuccarello. One, you're being a bully because Zuccarello is 5'0" nothing. Mm-hmm. Two, Zuccarello has been around long enough that he knows he can suck you into a penalty. So be smarter than him, which he did end up doing. And three, you just have to recognize Freddie still needs to recognize he's got a long ways to go to be at the point where he's going to get a call. He's always, if he's in a scrum, he's always getting pulled out of it right now. If has a questionable hit, especially even now after the Kaprizov, that guy, Kirill the Thrill. Okay.
Yeah,
Kaprizov. Yeah, there you go. Kirill the Thrill. He's going to have more of a target on his back after that one. He he got his penalty, but he's going to have to just be careful now. That's all. But I like him being on the edge. I think the Bruins like him being on the edge. We've talked about the physicality and he's moving his feet better. Maybe that's because of it. Maybe he's not worried about it and he's just playing. So I think you have to let him loose a little bit, but just watch the scrums.
Yeah. Okay. Good stuff.
Just one last thing, I guess, is looking what do you these Bruins are all right. They're in a good spot right now. Would you agree?
Well,
And not listen, they're far off from challenging these guys that got ahead of them, but they're in a pretty good spot.
they're in a good spot. A couple of things that stand out why they're in a good spot. First of all, of their 18 wins, 16 of them have been regulation. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So 17 if you include regulation overtime. So 17 of their 18 wins are important in the sense of if there's a tiebreaker of anything. That's one. Two, they still have games in hand. If you're looking at certain things, they've got matchups. I mean, they've got 3 games in hand on Detroit, who is the only team right now in their division that would be close to them. Right now, the Bruins, as we sit and do this episode, have 38 points at 31 games. Detroit has played 34 games. They have 35 points. So unless something really crazy happens, the Bruins should be able to remain. I know we got a long way to go, but you know what I mean. I mean, unless if something really bad would have to happen. With regard to finding themselves closer to Toronto, I mean, I think Toronto is unlikely that they'd catch Toronto doing their best. Toronto blowing 2-3 goal leads on Saturday night, have 47 points in 33 games, so they're 9 points up. I beg your 9 points up on Boston. I think that's going to be hard even to catch. I don't see the Bruins catching Tampa or Florida, but Toronto would be the only team. They're in a good spot, but yet this is going to be the question. And I've always said this about the just good enough. And I think we've already touched on it. I know we have, but if the Bruins legitimately think with this team, with Tuukka coming back, and assuming all health being equal, that they're really good and they want to give them another run at the Cup, they're going to have to make some changes. Mm-hmm. And those aren't going to be easy changes to make, Razor. That's the thing. That's the, you need to load up in 1 or 2 areas. We know minimum 1, if not 2 areas with this team. And that means you're giving up big assets. You're making some big trades. You're giving up a first-round pick likely. And I don't know if I'm there yet. If I'm saying, yeah, that's okay. I don't think I am, quite honest.
Yeah. It'll be interesting once it gets closer to see, because I'm getting closer. All right, if they get in the playoffs, let's go for it. And it looks like they're getting into that position where you can look ahead. If they make hay on this homestand with Montreal and Philly, and I mean Nashville's a good team, but they can make some hay here against the Eastern.
Would you take Claude Giroux? Would you take Claude Giroux? And do you think that he would? Do you think that he would be as impactful as his reputation? Many people think that he could be. Do you think he could?
I think he would be okay playing behind Patrice Bergeron. He's a younger French Canadian kid who watched Patrice. So yes, I think that's okay. He gets power play points. So how does he fit in on the power play would be one question I have. He likes to set up over on the left side. But I mean, yeah, you don't turn down guys like that. That's an interesting name. I haven't heard that one.
That would be, his deal's done. He is 33, so he's 3 years younger than Patrice. He's another right shot. He can play center. He can play right as well. But
how does Taylor Hall, Claude Giroux, and David Pastrnak sound to you?
It sounds really good. How does Eric Haula, Charlie Coyle, and then is it Nick Foligno there?
Steen.
Is it Oskar Steen? Yeah, I know. Is it Oskar Steen, right? And then, then you're talking a healthy line of Nosek,
Lazar,
Foligno, Bleed, Frederick. You've got the depth. I mean, it does sound better. Mm-hmm. There's no doubt. Look, he's a point a game player this year. Is Claude Giroux? I don't know. It's interesting, but that they're gonna want.
But there's lots of those names. That's the fun of it. That's what's gonna be fun, because we are getting to the point where you can now. It's not trying to just get into the playoffs and do we just try and limp it? Like, you're getting to, all right, we're in the playoffs now. What's the decision?
Yeah. It'll be fun. All right. Well, let's see. They've played 31 games, so there's a total of 82. And by the way, folks, we still don't have
Maybe.
any idea about February and scheduling. You know, I've had some people ask me, "What do you think they're going to reschedule?"
I'd really like to maybe go on vacation, but
I know we'd like to. Where are you thinking of going?
I don't know. You just go for a drive. I just happily go for a drive. You know, maybe skiing, maybe I don't know, but
you know what? I get the beauty of skiing, the majesty or majesticness, if
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
a word of it. But I hate carrying the goddamn gear.
Yeah, I might not even get gear. I might just sit at the bottom of the hill.
Yeah, it's I especially got kids. You want to talk about schlepping shit all over the place? People say, "Well, but you do the same thing with hockey equipment." No, you don't.
No.
No, you don't. Your kid, by the time a certain age, they carry their own gear. And two, if you're carrying, it's in a bag, one bag. If somebody could figure out how to make ski equipment like comfortable, first of all,
I have a beautiful visual in my head of you carrying like 3 sets of skis, 3 ski boots, a couple poles.
It's more F-bombs that are coming out of my mouth.
Yeah, I mean, it is wonderful.
And I ski so infrequently that every time I do, you know, you put on the Frankenstein boots, and then you got to remember how to walk in them the right way.
Shin splints for a week and a half.
Shin splints for a week, all of it. Right. You try and look cool doing it. And you always have one near miss when you're like walking down a hill to the lodge or something, and you almost wipe out and pull a hammy in the meantime. So I know. I go somewhere warm if you can. The problem is it's easier said than done. All right, I'll wrap up Morning Brew with Jaffe and Razor. Bruins have now won 4 of their last 5. Everybody enjoy your Sunday if you're listening to this on Sunday, or on Monday before the Bruins take on the Washington Capitals. That game again in Washington. Pre-game show starts at 6 o'clock on NESN. Face-off a little bit after 7. Razor, have a wonderful day or so, and we'll catch up with you then. And everybody else, enjoy your time and enjoy that coffee.